Hello, hello. I know it's been a while. Um, I will try to stream more often. I felt lazy, but anyways, here I am. Hold on a sec, making sure that everything is fine and correct. Yes, okay. So we're back to password. I would assume this is the last save. So, we gonna talk? He looked around before sizing me up. Guess so. Lead the way, Ty. We headed up the stairs, and Tyson dropped into a chair, choosing to watch me pick one for myself as well. So, we should talk. Fuck knows what fuck knows what about, though. Ty, there's nothing at all that comes to mind? Okay, yeah, there's something. Don't know how important it is, though. Could be a little important if Thanatos wanted us to talk. Alright, well, it's about getting off the mountain, yeah? What about it? So, say someone goes into the woods with that dumb guy, right? How do we know they're coming back? You don't think they will? Benson's out cold, and after that show Roswell had about promising us to let him die for us, but ending up dying now, doesn't mean he's going out there, does it? True, but... Ty just shook his head, shifting in his chair, clearly uncomfortable with what he was thinking. So, I'm gonna go. You? Why? I can see in the dark, and I'm not about to go leaving you on this mountain if I find a way out. You didn't consider escaping then and there and getting help? I reckon that's what someone like Dean or Sal might do, but fuck that. You don't think they'd come back? They wouldn't just abandon us? Or at least, I don't think so. Don't know. Didn't think to consider it when I know I'd come back. But you could escape and get the police. Take the escape while you have it before something else happens. And then come back to find out you've been all killed? Oh. All I'm saying is that I don't want to find out later that you've gone and died when I could have been around to keep you safe. But what if you're the one being put in danger by going out there? I don't want to find out that you've been killed either. So that's the rub, huh? We have to pick someone expendable. I don't like the sound of that either. Well, though. Yeah, well, tough. We don't have a choice, do we? Either we send someone, or we give up finding that way home. He was trying to keep my gaze, but he seemed troubled by the idea as well. Was there anyone that we'd be willing to just let go just in case the worst happens? Would it be a case of having to pick at random? Here's another thing I wanted to run by you too. What's that? When we get home, wanna go to the beach? Wait, what? When we get out of here, go on a proper vacation. Yeah, they all need it at this point. It was a quick smile, but he flashed me one to test my mood. Just us, the Holloway brothers. We'll go get some ice cream or something. You know, like last time or whatever. Might have to consider letting me bring my boyfriend along for the ride. He wasn't listening, already shaking his head, having decided how things were going to go. Fine, whatever. Point is, it'll be great. The conversation seemed to die there, though, fading into silence. The silence stretched until Tyson stared at started to rub his head, eyes on the floor. I'm just worried. Me too. Do you think that's what the rat wanted us to talk about? Just that we're worried? Honestly, I have no clue, Ty. He's just, I don't know. So, I've been wanting to ask something else, if that's cool. What is it? So that rabbit is probably gonna be back at some point now that we know he's not alone. So are you like gonna be fine with that? No? Probably not. He almost killed me. Okay, good. Good? I mean, I'm not liking the idea of him coming back, so I want to do something about it. Such as... Don't be stupid, Tyson, please. Been trying to figure out what sort of trap we could set, or if we could just get Benson to shoot him. It'd make our lives a bit easier. Wouldn't that just annoy Dominic? Who the fuck cares? But they're work buddies, and wouldn't that upset him? Again, and won't he want to like get revenge? I could see the cogs turning in Tyson's head slowly as he reasoned out what I'd said. Shit. Thanatos has been on my case about trying to figure out what to do about Jack, but I'm getting the impression that there isn't really anything we can do after all. Maybe do nothing. He says that doesn't turn out well either. And if he's lying? Dude, I don't know. How about you just leave Jack to me? I'll think of something. I guess that's fine? I watched as Tyson stood from his chair and came closer. He pulled me carefully to my feet and looked me in the eye. I love you, you dork. Before I could get a word out, he had his arms around me in a tight hug. He started rubbing my back and I hugged him back, breathing out. Part of me knew what was at stake already, knowing our lives were on the line. But holding Ty like this and having me hold back really cemented it. At any moment I could lose this. I could lose what I had with any of my friends, and the pit in my stomach grew to the point I started trembling. I thought of Roswell dying. I thought of everyone in danger already. And as my trembling grew, Tyson's grip around me tightened. Hey, you're alright. How about we head back down? See how things are going down there. Yeah, okay. Haas, it's a rat! Sure. Everyone seemed to be already there by the time Tyson and I arrived, with the notable exception of Roswell. Plus Benson, naturally. I assumed he was still asleep, giving no change had been mentioned by Tyson or even Haas when I ran into them before. What's going on? Thanatos is being a menace. Am not. You kinda are. What's he doing, though? Nothing. What do you mean? You came in here wanting to talk to me, but just started talking nonsense. I wouldn't say nonsense, but he was absolutely looking to pick a fight with someone. What did he say? With Roswell out of commission, I just wanted to see if Orlando wanted to go see his dad. I don't want to see my dad. I don't think any of us do. He also followed up saying that Orlando's knife is pretty expendable, to which is a good deal after was spent making sure Orlando didn't roast him. Really now? I'm not gonna let you hurt my boy. Yeah, probably good that he doesn't, for now. It does raise an important question, though. Go for it, big guy. What exactly was the plan for tomorrow? What do you mean? Benson is unconscious, so going with Dominic tomorrow is a bit out of the question. Not true. What do you mean? I'm only going to say this once, so listen up. The plan is to give Benson over to Memphis. Then someone is going to follow along and find out where the exit off the mountain is. You're crazy. Like that ever work? Depending on who goes, it's very possible. You've seen it work before? How? When? Who goes? What have I told you before, Dave? Many things. Right. Well, specifically that this is all variable. Hey, Sal. Yes, Hoss? We're not believing him, are we? Well, I'm not. I'll say that right now. He tries and drugs Benson. Now he's just expecting us to go along with what he says and it'll be fine. I never promised fine. Do you promise that we'll get off the mountain? I'm not promising that either. So what exactly are we meant to do? You made a deal with Dom we can't even fulfill for what? A couple extra days of worrying about worrying what's going to happen to us? I do admit I'm a little unclear how things are going to play out. Especially given he said he had other plans for Roswell. Unless he's planned for Roswell to fall sick suddenly, his plans are ruined too. Speaking of, where is he? We placed him in a side room to lay down. Passed out soon after we got him comfortable. You don't think that it's happening sooner than we thought it would? If it was, I imagine Thanatos would be making more of a spectacle of it. I would not. Well, that's good. Leaves us without an option of what we're meant to do, though. Well... Ty shook his head, grumbling. Yeah, I know. Dave and we're just talking it out. I should be the one to go. Why is that? Not that I'm opposed, but I have to agree. Why? I'm not about to go leave Dave on the mountain with the mafia on the loose, so I'm the least likely to take the exit to save myself. I don't know how I feel about the way you phrased that, but I see your point. Wouldn't it make more sense for me to go? I'd do a better job of navigating the forest than anyone else here. That does sound like it'd make more sense. But it'd mean you'd have to follow Dominic without being caught. Then come back without being found out. That's even assuming that you found a way off the mountain. I know what's at stake. If I fail, then what? Well... Don't answer that, Dave. That was rhetorical. We should both go. And have twice the odds of being found? What if you get found, huh? They were already working at each other up without anyone adding to things, despite neither options being great. So I did the first thing I thought of. In a flash, I fished the medal out of my pocket and nosily threw it onto the table. What's that? Is that one of the medals? Yeah, I found it earlier. Figured now would be a good time to bring it out before a fight happens. Good idea. So which one is this then? No idea. Anyone? Wasn't it supposed to be the Leo medal? Wait, let me check my notes. Yeah, no, it is the Leo. Again, from my notes, funnily enough, I only know the location of 5 medals. One of them is... I don't know which one it is. But from my notes, I'm seeing that we found the Aquarius, the Taurus, the Capricorn, and the Leo. There's one extra one, but I don't know which one it is. Interesting. How many... Wait, I'm gonna check that real quick. How many zodiac signs are there? Like, how many medals? I would assume... Wait, let me see. Looks like it's 12. And we only found 5. So almost halfway there. Okay. I almost know half of the medals. Okay. Oh, this one is Leo. A lion, huh? Shame it wasn't me that found it, huh? Probably for the best, really. What is that supposed to mean? Just where I found it, that's all. Which was where? The study attached to the museum. I don't think I follow the point you're trying to make. Hold on, there's another room attached to the museum? Yeah, apparently Huss and Roswell have found it. You didn't think to tell any of us? It's not that big of a deal. There wasn't anything in there. Besides, it's not as if Roswell is getting the third degree about it. Roswell is also currently unconscious. Still, that's one less medal we need to find. Which is good, right? Yeah, but that doesn't solve anything with tomorrow. I guess it wouldn't hurt to go through our options. So far, Tyson and Dean have both volunteered, but... If it's your dad out there, probably best that you don't run the risk, Orlando. Besides, there's that whole bright yellow thing you have going on, bright yellow thing you have going on isn't going to camouflage well in the forest. That's true. Which, given how fond of Saul that is, chances are, if he gets caught, he wouldn't be allowed back either. Austin, I bet you can run fast. Got that right. But I don't know how well I'll go if I see them armed. I was already pretty shaken just seeing Dom with one. So we're just clear, just so we're clear, I don't have to go either, right? Because of Jack? Oh god, no. I don't think you were ever in the, I don't think you were ever in the running for going out there. Not after last time. Oh, well, good. But then, who should go? Who indeed? You pointed at Dean and Tyson, turned before looking back to me. Seems like you have 2 prime volunteers right here. I suppose it's a plan? Guess that'll mean we should figure out exactly how this is going down. Will Benson be unconscious, or...? I would imagine he would be. But he's been unconscious for a full day already. Is he going to stay that way? Not unless we drug him, no. We're not drugging Benson, we're not drugging Benson so he stays unconscious. What happens if we let him wake up? I can assure you that he's not going to let himself be taken so quietly. He kills Dom? He tries. And then what happens? As I'm sure you can imagine, Dom returns injured, and soon after Jack and Memphis arrive, I shouldn't need to tell you how that works out for you all. Then we don't have a choice, right? But we can't just keep him unconscious, can we? Who knows what they'll do to him? The other seems to murmur in their agreement, but Thanatos seemed unfazed. That's the choice you have to make. Sacrifice the other and have a chance of survival, or don't. You have until tonight to come to a decision, so I'm just going to be waiting downstairs for one of you to tell me what to do. What you want to do. I think we were all in too much shock to stop him from leaving. Occasionally we shared glances, but that was as far as we went. Orlando wandered towards the kitchen first, followed quickly by Haas. Shit. That's one way to put it. This can't be happening, can it? What Thanatos just said. It's because of Benson. No, it's either Benson or us. I felt sick. I thought about what sort of choice we were being presented, and had to brace myself against the table. What if we just let Benson wake up and we go hide? What? I was wondering about that too. There's a problem with that. If Dom gets killed by Benson, then we're back to not knowing the way off the mountain. If he gets injured, I don't think he'll head towards the exit when he has allies. Unless they're holed up near where they got on the mountain to begin with. Is that likely? If it's anything like how we got up the mountain, they'd be camping, right? Camping for days, from the sounds of things, which doesn't sound too likely. So it makes sense for them to use some sort of shelter, right? What about the water mill you found, Dave? Only person I saw there was Jack, and he followed me in rather than him being there with Dom, and I guess Orlando's dad. So maybe somewhere else. Look, as fucked as this situation is, it's not like we're about to go looking for the way out right now, are we? But Tyson, we can't just give them Benson. Who knows what they'll do to them? Well, I know what they're going to do to us if we don't. I looked to Dean, who seemed almost a little too calm about things, just rubbing his chin. Dean? If it's a choice between Benson or us, then it has to be us, right? One person potentially dying to save a handful of others, compared to everyone dying instead? Dean? I'm not saying I'm happy with the choice, but if it's a choice between living or dying, then when you reduce it down to that, it's hard to really... What I mean is... Great, so we agree. I'm going to go tell the rats what our decision is. I grabbed Ty as he walked past, but I found my grip slipping without him having to fight me. He didn't look back either, disappearing into the foyer, leaving me with Dean and Sal. I think I'm going to need a minute. I dropped onto the steps near the back door and buried my face in my hands. This can't be happening. Tyson was just ready to agree to let someone die so we could live and seemed so fine with it. As for me though, the guilt was already making itself known by the sickening feeling in my gut. Just beyond where I sat was the forest where Dom had disappeared. Watching the shadows, I half expected someone to be lingering there, watching or waiting for us to make a move. But there was no one. I assumed I was out there alone, and for a few moments I was. Oh! I watched as Roswell stumbled from the back door, almost in a daze towards me, and then dropped to sit down. He said nothing at first, staring instead at a spot on the ground someplace far away. I wondered if he even knew where he was. I think I know why you're troubled. Huh? He didn't turn to look at me, instead seemingly more distracted by breathing and staying upright. Tomorrow, when Dumb comes, for Benson. You heard the others talking? Thanatos. He told you? Again, it seems as though Roswell was distracted by something, but the longer he sat there staring off, I wondered if he even knew where he was. Roswell? Dave, tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be bad. You know? Benson, if he doesn't die, we'll... everything. Roswell. Everything will stop. Everything has to stop. Everything... Roswell made to stand, but instead fell over limp, leaving me stunned after his rambling. I thought he was unconscious, but when I went to move him, I could feel him burning up. His face was scrunched up. He was breathing hard, but he seemed out cold otherwise. Hey! Wake up! As I gently shook Roswell, I caught sight of Thanatos standing by the back door. He just passed out! Thanatos wandered closer, looking towards Roswell before looking up at me once he'd reached where I'd been sitting. Did he say anything? Just that tomorrow is going to be bad. That if Benson doesn't die, we'll... You know what he was talking about? Oh yeah, just give me a... Is he going to knock us out again? As I held Roswell, Thanatos climbed up Roswell's front and lightly kicked his nose. Why? Yep, he's unconscious. I could have told you that. We need to get help, right? He was meant to be inside, but... No time for that. Got something more pressing. What's that? Oh, you know. I know? Yeah. Why, Thanatos? Roswell needs help. Ugh. Internally, I swore. I would have done so externally if I hadn't just been knocked out again. Or at the very least, I was sure that that's what had happened from the familiar stabbing pain in my head that preceded the darkness. The other giveaway was that I tried calling out, but no sound came out. Instead, I just had to wait and float there until I regained some level of consciousness. Ugh. I was flat on my back, staring at the sky. Rolling over, I looked around, but I couldn't see Roswell or Thanatos. What are you doing? Blame the rat. Ty, I need a favor. What's the favor? Slap me across the face! Quickly! I'm not doing that. Fine. The moment I felt my hand impact my cheek, things went black again. It must have been another memory rather than the real thing. Just as well, but I probably shouldn't slap myself so hard to check. Once again, I found myself flat on my back, and immediately I started to raise my hand towards my face. What are you doing? Wait, is it repeating? About to slap myself again. Okay, you do that. At least I don't need to drag your ass back inside like Roswell had to be. I froze, my hand barely against my face. You just carried Roswell back inside? Sal did. And you were about to carry me back inside? Pretty much. Don't know how long you were both out here, because no one saw you from the back door. Only really noticed when Roswell wasn't where we left him. Huh, okay. So, why were you unconscious? Blame the rat. He do something to you? Yeah, he made me black out again, but I don't really know why. Well, whatever he did was messing with Roswell something fierce. Oh no, Roswell was like that before I blacked out. He was almost foaming at the mouth? The fuck happened? Wait, no, go back. He was foaming at the mouth? Looked like it, although he was trashing about a bit next to you. Like he was having some serious bad dream or something. Huh. And I was just there? We're groaning and frowning and junk, but nowhere near as bad as he was. Where's he now? Where's Thanatos? Roswell's back where we put him originally, I think. No idea on the rat. Didn't realize he came outside, but he moved pretty quick after I told him we're on board with drugging Benson. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed Roswell was on board with that too. He say something? Just that if Benson doesn't die tomorrow, then we're screwed. Or that it's going to be bad regardless? Well, shit. But sorry to say that we're just going to have to live with it. Literally, I guess, yeah. Assuming that it even means we get to. Hate to say it, but yeah, we don't have a choice. Ty offered out a hand and helped me to my feet, stepping back as I dusted myself off. It's normal to just feel absolutely horrible about this, right? I sure as hell don't feel great about it. I'm not about to choose to die if I get to say. But at the cost of someone else's life? When they don't get to choose? None of us like it, Dave. It's a shit situation we're in, but what choice do we have? And then what? You're going to follow Dom into the forest? Either me or Dean, yeah? Please don't. You don't trust me? I don't want you to die. I'm not gonna die. You don't know that. I promise. I punched him, not hard, not in anywhere tender, just enough and suddenly that it caught him off guard. You can't promise that. You don't know. No one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. We might not get home. We might not survive. So just don't go promising that you'll be okay if you leave. It will hurt worse if you break it. He went to speak a couple of times before just backing down, taking a step back. You two doing alright? Dean looked between us, but we kept our eyes on the ground. Did something happen? Dean, don't go into the woods tomorrow. What? Dave doesn't want either of us to go into the woods. But if no one goes, how are we meant to get off the mountain? It's not like he's going to show us the way while he's lugging Benson along, is he? Well, no, but... And if we're in that much danger... He gets it. It's just a shit situation. That's one way of putting it. We also have additional problems. Such as? Roswell. He's in no state to move anywhere unless carried, and depending on the route we need to take, it might be a bit problematic. We can't just abandon him either. I agree. So? Yes, Dean? You volunteering to stay with Roswell while the rest of us bail? Well... If you feel bad about leaving him behind while the rest of us try to get off the mountain, it means you're willing to stay, yeah? We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, aren't we? We won't know the exit immediately, so maybe Roswell's condition will improve. I looked between each of them in turn, but they all had their heads hung, not wanting to offer anything in response. Right? I should go and check on Orlando and Haas. Last I heard, they were still worried about the decision. We have to come to one, right? Yeah, Dean and I are just gonna talk it out while you fill in the others. Dave, go with Saul. Better you're not here for this. But it's alright, we'll fill you in later. Saul took me by the hand and we wandered back inside. As we made our way back inside, I kept looking back the way we walked, wanting to know what Dean and Ty were talking about. How are you two holding up? Orlando was in the middle of preparing a snack. Haas had a cup of tea, but his hands were shaking. Not great. I don't know how Thanatos expect us to choose. I wouldn't worry about choosing. Not anymore. What do you mean? Tyson has told Thanatos that we're going with his plan. Benson will be sedated and... Don't you dare finish that sentence! Someone remind me to chew Tyson out for deciding for the group. In his defense, Dean and I are also of the mind that we're without an actual choice. Seriously? You're just fine with us giving Benson over to my dad? If the alternative is dying for being in the way... I don't like this. What are we meant to do, Haas? I don't know, but this just feels wrong. When Roswell wakes up, I want to know what he thinks. He was conscious for a little bit, but, don't. Just don't. So that's it, then? We're all just no discussion? No nothing? Aside from the morality of what we've decided, is there anything else to talk about? We're all not liking which way this is going to go, but beyond that... This sucks. I'm sorry to say it gets worse. Roswell, he's getting worse, and right now I wouldn't think he's in any condition to go anywhere. Carried maybe, but... Depending on the way out, we might not be able to take him. That? I don't like that. I don't think anyone does. If someone has to stay, it should be, I shot Orlando a grim look and he returned it right back. We both knew what he was about to say before the words came out of his mouth. Me. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll be able to escape anything bad. At least for a while. You're in the most risk. Wait, if we're using that as reasoning, it should be me. Surely. Why you? I feel like if we're planning on bargaining like that, Memphis is the least likely to want to kill me. If I have to pretend for a bit in order for my friends to have the best chance of survival, then I will. But you won't be playing pretend, or at least Dad won't accept you just playing alone. So where does that leave us? We looked between each other with Orlando rubbing his face and groaning. I'll stay. If someone absolutely needs to stay, I'll do it. Hopefully Roswell can just come with us then, so we don't have to, you know. I wandered over to the pantry to check our food with a frown. What are you looking for? Something sweet. I don't want to think about this anymore. You can't go eating your problems away. Not that it's really relevant to what you're discussing, but I had a question about Thanatos. What was the question? Where did he disappear to after Tyson went to go deliver our decision? Oh, Dad. I don't know. You're better off asking Tyson. He's outside with Dean at the moment. Fair enough. I'll make the most of it and let him know how I feel about him speaking for all of us without checking. I was about to answer Haas's question, watching him walk away before the words left my mouth. Tyson was likely going to fill him in anyway, but if I'd just been quicker, I could have saved him some hassle. Dave, step away from the pantry. If you want something that bad, I'll make you something. I don't know what I want. Maybe to just sleep the day away so I didn't have to put up with anything between now and when it happens. Dave. You can't go sleeping either. You don't look all that tired, so maybe it's best to just try not to think about it. Orlando and I will make you some pumpkin bread. It's better to keep busy and fed rather than sit there and do nothing. Also, thanks for the follow. I'll manage fine on my own. It was a slow process, slower than I knew was normal, but it gave us something to do. Sal supervised, Orlando baked, and I cradled cup after cup of coffee until he was done. I'm doing fine. We're just continuing password. I don't know how long I've been doing this playthrough, honestly, but I want to finally finish it, but it's taking a while, obviously. Tyson and Dean resurfaced at some point, seemingly come to an agreement that they didn't want to share, but all that did was prompt me to back to the pantry and with it another round of baking fresh pumpkin bread. Haas returned after some time and said he'd had no luck finding Thanatos either, and Russell seemed to be in just as much of a state as when Sal put him down. At some point I had found myself so full that I felt sick, and with that came Ty's arm around me. Along with the reassurances from Orlando that I'd be alright and he'd feed me something else when I was feeling better. Go lay down. I don't want to lay down. Before I could kick up a fuss, Orlando has spun me around and marched me towards the bed. Lay down. But he spun me around and pushed me lightly backwards, so I was now sitting on the edge of the bed. Come on, you've been moping ever since you were brought in by Sal. I'm looking at putting my brother in danger, and if Roswell doesn't get better, my boyfriend doesn't get to escape with us. Assuming we even get an answer from whoever ends up going after Dominic. At least in one of those scenarios, Tyson will be fine. 'Cause he'd have come back. And if he doesn't, well, I'm terrified for tomorrow, Orlando. So many things could go wrong. We could even die tomorrow. I'm sorry. What am I meant to do? What are any of us meant to do? He lunged at me in an awkward hug, knocking me onto my back and leaving him kneeling on the floor. All I know is that we're all going to suffer tomorrow, the least of which is because of what's going to happen to Benson. And then everything that follows is just going to be at various degrees of worse and worse, huh? Yeah. I wrapped my arms around him and breathed out. If we have to leave Roswell behind, are you really going to stay? I don't know. It scares me, but it scares me more about what Dad might do to people I care about. Even if, in Roswell's case, he doesn't have a lot of time left. He punctuated his statement with another squeeze and dropped the volume of his voice. There, we just have to get through tomorrow, okay? Hold on for just a little while longer, and it might not turn out so bad. Remained like that for a while without me giving him a reply. I just couldn't bring myself to agree with the amount of worry I was still holding on to. Eventually, he ushered me to the shower when I didn't make a move on my own after he had had one. And once clean, he bundled me up, and as we lay in bed, I felt warm and safe. But the lingering thought on my mind remained. But for just how long would I be able to enjoy Orlando's warmth? In my dreams, I was hunted with what was to come once I finally woke up. Benson was going to be sacrificed so we could survive. But even then, it wasn't a sure thing. We still had to take a risk by following Dom to the exit. Dean or Tyson were going to go in. Roswell was potentially not going to get better in time. Nothing about the next 24 hours was shaping up to be promising. Thankfully, I had nothing vivid to make me question where I was. I was right where I was when I gone to sleep. In the days I got up, dressed, and wandered downstairs in search of coffee. I needed to be alone, just to shift through everything going on. We were going to kill someone to survive. Benson needed to die for us to survive. My stomach did a flip and I groaned in an attempt to prevent myself from being sick. I made coffee, grabbed some leftover pumpkin bread, and nursed both while I tried to let it resolve in my head what was going to happen. Dean or Tyson was going to head into the woods to find this exit. Roswell might be staying behind for being too sick, and if he was, then Orlando would also need to stay. In the worst case scenario, the absolute worst, only 3 of us would be getting out. That's assuming we even found the way out too. Please, let today go well. Yeah, well, we'll just have to see, won't we? Thanatos was on the counter again, but I lacked the strength to really do anything more about his arrival. You look terrible. I feel terrible. Well, hopefully today goes well for you. Not that I know how it all plays out. How come? Does that matter? It's still going to happen anyway. To know if this is all just some sort of setup by you for some horrible thing down the line. Now why would I go and do that? I can't imagine how any of this could just be what you're after. It's all so terrible. You're alive, aren't you? For how much longer? Depends. Oh? At the rate we're going, I almost wonder if it's going to be worth coming out to the other side alive. You don't have a choice. Of course I have a choice. I can decide if I live or die. Once we're in the woods, it's not as if you can do anything else to me. You're right about that. Once you're away from the house, you're away from me anyway. How many people died today, Thanatos? You don't want to know. How many people die tomorrow? You still don't want to know. Do I die? Not if I can help it. But you just said once we're in the woods you can't do anything. Then don't go into the woods, genius. But that's the way out. I scoffed, brushing him off and grabbing my coffee. Where are you going? Out. He let me go, and I sat down on the steps leading to the up to the front door, coffee still in hand. Pieces of the pumpkin bread was still stuck in my teeth, and I picked at them with a claw. As mindless as it was, it gave me something to focus on. Dave? I almost jumped, looking over my shoulder to Roswell, who had emerged from the front door. Roswell, you're up? Yeah, I saw the front door open and I got worried. No, I mean, you're up. You're feeling better than yesterday? You were out of it and we were all sorta, worried. I'm doing okay, all things considered. My body feels heavy. My vision keeps coming and going as if someone's making me look through smoky glass, and my throat feels dry. Time for coffee? Maybe in a bit. He came down to sit next to me and cradled his head in his hands, looking across the lawn towards the driveway. Do you ever feel like someone's watching over you? My god, are you going to be like meta timeline then again? What do you mean? Like some sort of guardian angel maybe? Or a puppeteer? A puppeteer kind of. But that's been really been Thanatos as of late. I suppose you've got a point. But I've thought about things like, is Dad watching over me? Keeping me safe somehow? But I don't think he is. You don't think so? He's dead. That's it, really. No one is magically going to stop bad things happening to me. Otherwise they would have stepped in already. I guess that makes sense. Well, technically we're on path B. There's still path A, which is the path where no one dies. But I'm guessing you feel that there is. It's a nice thought after all. Maybe a friendly ghost or some higher being wanting us to delivered from tragedy. We have a rat claiming to be God in the kitchen, but all he does is cause problems on purpose. It's okay. Yeah, that's fair. But you're sure you're feeling okay? As well as I can be, anyway. And you know what's happening today? What you told me yesterday? I remember. He sighed, staring off into space, looking troubled. I'm sorry that when I told you what I did, and admittedly I'm not even entirely sure what I did tell you, that it probably didn't come out too clear. You said Benson had to die, otherwise everything would end. I don't think you could have been much more clear than that. Ah, right. That is true, right? Yeah. Mind explaining that? Not much to explain. You can thank Thanatos for the heads up. He told you that it happened? That if Benson don't get handed over? Roswell shook his head, looking to me slowly. Benson needs to die. But what about the thing with Dom? What thing with Dom? You... what? The only thing Thanatos told me is that if Benson didn't die today, that we're all in danger. That's what I was telling you yesterday, right? But you said that Dom was coming for Benson. And that's not the same thing? Well, I assumed that if you meant us handing over Benson so he could be killed, you'd have just said that, right? The plan, as I understand it, is that we're drugging Benson and handing him over to Dom. That's the plan, right? He was there for the plan. I was almost certain he was the one that even suggested handing Benson over. And you're sure? Roswell, you were there for us discussing this. I'm sure you were. He seemed legitimately confused, and seemed to scan the ground while figuring out where his mind was at. Dave, what day is it? What is Roswell? What is happening with Roswell? As in the date, or? He shook his head, scratching his chin. How many days has it been since the full moon? Well, that happened maybe 3-4-ish days ago? What? No, that can't be right. Why not? It'd be way longer than that, surely. How much longer do you think it's been? A week at least? Is it really? Roswell, what's going on? How could you not know? It almost feels like a lie, but Thanatos, or I have a theory anyway. Wait, okay, hold on. What day did he die? Okay, I don't even remember which page I'm on. So day 20 was the day where Tyson dies because the werewolf thing. 20. Yeah, it has been 3 days. Okay. What's the theory? When you've used a vault, how vivid are the things Thanatos shows you? How long do they last? Not long, but they've been getting more vivid over time. I've been asleep for most of the last few days, haven't I? He stood slowly, nodding. I need to talk to Thanatos. Before I could register what's going on, he scurried back inside, leaving me scrambling to catch up. Roswell, wait up! As I entered the kitchen, he and Thanatos were having a standoff. Thanatos leaning on what seems to be a fresh cup of coffee. What's going on? Drink the coffee, Roswell. Is it drugged? You've poisoned it. I've done no such thing. Just drink it. What's going on? Roswell slowly reached out for the mug and took it into his hands. His eyes trained on Thanatos as he brought it to... You shouldn't trust him. You shouldn't trust him. Stop! What are you doing? I said it wasn't poisoned. You said you didn't poison it. It tastes fine. Not sweet enough, but it's fine. Now what are you about to accuse me of? When I was sleeping over the past few days, did you do anything to me? Like what? Like what you did to me. Put me under the sound thing. And make you see things? Yeah, what did you do? And why did you do it? I don't even know what day it is anymore because I thought... You thought that it was a few days after today? Because I made him think he's been living through whole days while he slept. But why? Because I needed you to. Or rather, because Dave needed you to. What? For what? Sounds like you and Roswell should be talking more about what he experienced over the past few days rather than talking to me about it. He shrugged, sitting down on the counter without a care in the world. He's got a point. Maybe we should compare notes. Well, in that case, what happens today? I don't know. What do you mean? You said you thought it was days later, right? Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean I know what happened. You didn't ask? I did, at least when I could. Explain? So, the original plan was that I'd go along with Dominic after offering Benson as collateral, right? I guess? The idea being that if it was a trap, it's minimal losses in a sense. Sure. I gave him a side eye and he waved it off, thinking things through. But something went wrong, or I couldn't go. When I woke up, the exchange had already happened. So, who was missing? Well, I couldn't find Benson or you. Everyone else seemed pretty down in dumps, so I thought it was obvious. Then what happened? If I was missing, then clearly I would have been back, right? Bold assumption there, Dave. Who said anything about what Russell saw being a branch off this point in time? I was worried about that. What possible timeline were we looking at? Everyone was alive, I think. Or at least everyone you'd think of was accounted for. Okay. Here's a question then. Is Oswin still alive? Tyson, Dean, Orlando, Haas, Saul, yourself, and Oswin? Russell thought it over, shaking his head. Oswin, that's something that didn't line up. I could have sworn I'd seen him, but he's dead. More importantly, he died before he met any of us. Go on, explain that one. Wait, did he see a vision of the Path A? Who else could it have been? Someone else working for Memphis, maybe? Unlikely. Well, if you saw him, where? When? Emerging from the trees leading back to the house. And how would that be likely that he's working for Memphis then? If this guy is literally walking out from where the bad guys are hanging out, and all. Okay, fine, you got me. How do you know Oswin? He's in a bunch of photos at home. Aha! Yet I recall Oswin saying that he's not related to Roswell. Press X to doubt. I remember my dad pointing him out to me after I'd read the trial report. Oh, never mind, the newspaper. Okay. Why does your dad have pictures of Oswin though? One I could maybe understand as a client, but more than one seems odd. Russell shrugged, but I shook my head. It doesn't make sense. There's one photo in particular I remember though, and it had Oswin and another boar in it I'd never met. But I never got a clear answer as to who that was, probably Florentia. I heard Thanatos make a sound, but he seemed suddenly distracted elsewhere, looking off to the side. And you have no idea who that other boar would be? Roswell shook his head and dropped into a nearby stool to sit down. Still, it doesn't change the fact that Oswin is dead in this timeline. Fine, we'll come back to this. What else did you learn? Benson being alive angers Memphis enough that he takes revenge on all of us by setting the house on fire with us inside. Wait, but why hadn't we left by that stage? If the exchange went through, then I don't get it. To be honest, my thoughts are a bit disjointed. I remember seeing Oswin come back to the house, but the next day, it's hard to know exactly what went wrong. You weren't back, though. Wait, so I was missing? It's very likely that you were possibly dead, Dave. Not that it matters. What do you mean? I don't want to die. More things become problematic if you die, is all I'm saying. Such as? What did I just say? So, was there anything useful we could learn about how today is going to go? Only if that Benson is still living, Memphis is going to consider him as a threat and not take any risks. Based on something Benson already did, apparently. He means killing Dominic. So if Benson kills Dominic, we're screwed. There are very few options when he does. So, step 1, we have to kill Benson. Not necessarily. As long as he's sedated, as per the original plan, that should be fine. Once he's been neutralized in that sense, I don't think he's going to pose much of a threat. But you said if Benson doesn't die. That'd be step 2. Making sure he dies in a way that convinces Memphis and his goons that you're not worth dealing with. But who's going to do it? How should I know? Wait, I do know. I'll do it. At least that way no one has to live with the guilt of it. We can't hope for Memphis or Dum or even Jack to do it instead. If we have to force their hand, then while they may have been doing the one doing the killing, it would have only been because someone set up the circumstances. Can we have a step 2 be a bit more flexible, or at least decided later? Alright, sure. Is there a step 3? I assume that's just getting clear of the mountain before we're faced with a horrible fire. I could see his eyes twitch and his whole body shudder as he seemed to stare off into the space upon mentioning it again. If that's all, then you should know the others are going to be getting up soon, unless you want to run through all of this again. Look busy. Thanatos leapt at Roswell and scrambled down his back to the floor. With one final nod, he slipped out the back just as the door opened from the dining room. Ugh. Honestly, my voice is getting sore, so I'm gonna end it up here for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Take care.